This is a tried and true secret recipe of mine for Grandma's best chocolate chip cookies. I'm going to show you how to make this. Watch the whole thing as I share tips. Let's get started. To this bowl, I've got a half a cup of butter. This is just a stick of butter at room temperature and a half a cup of coconut oil. And you can use a whole cup of butter if you want to, but I find that adding the coconut oil adds like a chewiness factor to it. And I mean, it's better for you too, but it also adds like a hint of flavor. It doesn't taste like coconut, but it does add something. So we're gonna go ahead and get these mixed up. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in 3/4 a cup of sugar and 3/4 a cup of brown sugar too. So I have substituted half of the sugar with stevia and found that that actually works wonderful. It doesn't mess up the consistency of it, because you want to make sure you have a nice, like, you know, kind of crispy on the outside, chewy chocolate chip cookie. So I have found that actually you can do that. It's just, I'm not doing it today for you guys. And then I'm also going to put in half or 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Another note on this, I have tried the Swerve, you know, the new brown sugar Swerve brand that's like erythritol, and it's a better sugar substitute. I have tried that. Don't do it. And I'll tell you why. I don't like a really fluffy, cakey chocolate chip cookie, and it turned it into one. Being the only thing in the recipe that changed was the Swerve brown sugar. I only substituted half of it. I did half of regular brown sugar and half of Swerve, and it turned it into a cakey cookie. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Stevia is a little different. Stevia does not do that when you substitute part of the white sugar with the stevia. I wouldn't substitute all of the white sugar with the stevia if the chewy consistency of the cookie is important to you. It'll end up messing with the texture of it. So, all right, now to this, I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 room temperature egg. And then the other thing I'm gonna be putting in here is a half a teaspoon of vanilla. And just to comment on that, with the half a teaspoon of vanilla, don't put in a teaspoon of vanilla. Don't eyeball it and think, okay, there we go, because I do that. I do that a lot. But you don't want to do that, because believe it or not, there was a taste difference between the half a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of vanilla in this. So do the half a teaspoon of vanilla only. Oh my goodness. I went to pour it and it spilled over. So hopefully that doesn't mess this up. All right, so we're gonna mix this up real well, and then we're gonna go ahead and put in our flour. This is super quick, you guys. I'm gonna keep mixing this and I'll be right back with you. All right, so next up is 2 1/4 cups of flour, and I've got, I don't know if you can see that, half a teaspoon of baking soda and a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna go ahead and pour these in here. This is how I do it, because I feel like it's a shortcut. I'm gonna stir this into my flour while it's you know, they always want you to mix this in separately, but you know, I've got a lot to do, guys. All right, so gonna mix this in like this, just so it's kind of mixed in with the flour. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get this stirred up. I've got this all mixed up, and I gotta correct myself. I think I said 2 1/4 cups flour. It was 2 cups flour, guys. I'll make sure I put the edit on the screen when I'm doing my editing, but not 2 1/4, 2 cups flour. And do you look at, see how your dough's kind of stiff here? Yeah, just 2 cups flour. Now to this, I've never really measured how many chocolate chips I put in here. I always just eyeball this, but it's supposed to be a cup. I don't know if that's what I end up with. I'm gonna add some in, and then I'll tell you how much it is. I make this almost once a week for the family. It's crazy how much they've got me making these chocolate chip cookies. I've had many opportunities to tweak, and I started out with one recipe that was not my recipe, and I have tweaked it so much that this is my recipe. And I'm gonna get this in the oven for you. Do we want more chocolate chips? Sure, why not? You can see this is how much I got left in my cup. Pretty darn close to a cup of chocolate chips. I don't think I'm gonna do any more than that. So I'm gonna get this in the oven. We're gonna set our oven at 375, and we're gonna cook these for 8 to 10 minutes. But guys, do not let them cook all the way. That's the next big tip on these. You don't want to cook, you don't want them coming out of the oven looking like they're done. They're actually going to finish cooking while they're on the countertop, which sounds weird, but I'll show you here in just a minute. So let me get these on the cookie tray. One thing I want to point out is you want to have these about the size of a golf ball. That's how I do. And it'll make 2 dozen of this size. All right, let's get these in the oven. All right, set to 375. I'm gonna set my timer. Whoops. To 10 minutes. I want to point out, do you see how you might think these aren't done? See how they're kind of shiny? Take them out when they look like this. Super duper important. All right, here's the second batch of cookies. It made 11, so apparently one of these cookies was big. I was not eating the cookie dough, I promise. But you can see these were in there for about 9.5 minutes. I always am so careful about pulling these out because I don't want them to overcook or undercook. And I was a little nervous about these. You're gonna be a little nervous, guys. When you take these cookies out and they're kind of wet on top, you're gonna be thinking, are these really done? Should I cook them longer? But you can't. You just can't do it. Resist the temptation. All right, let me break into one of these and I'll show you how it looks. All right, go ahead. Oh yeah. Yes, I had my grandbaby make me pinky promise that I would make her some monster cookies. No food coloring, no nothing. Just a couple little eyeballs in here, guys. And poof, you have a monster cookie. So I'm gonna put some eyeballs in some of these for that baby. If you want to score points with your little people, do this. And they will love you for it. All right, let me finish this up and I'll get these all on a plate. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoy this recipe. And remember, everybody, keep your joy. See you on the next one.